Hey guys, Fractal here. I started watching a video by the Violent Buddha, who responded to a guy named 530. And his video was basically making arguments for God's existence by default, which means he's trying to show that atheism is irrational and therefore there must be a creator. Now, I'm going to address his arguments point by point, and he's actually challenging atheists to try to respond to him, so that's what I'm going to do, and I hope he accepts this video response. Now, first of all, you got a cool name, 530. I'm personally more of a 420 kind of guy. But anyhow, let's start with your video.
What's going on? Chad Elliott back, Creationism and the Origin of Life Facebook page, baby. This is my new video. This video is called Atheists Are Required. Check it out. By definition, atheists deny the uncreated creator.
Okay, dude, I'm going to grant you that one, even though, just to set you straight, it's not exactly accurate. Because an atheist doesn't need to, by definition, deny the existence of a uncreated creator. He could simply say, I have a lack of evidence for such a claim, therefore I don't believe in it. But if you show him evidence, he will absolutely believe it. So it's not as if he's closed-minded to that option. It's not as if he's denying that it's a possibility.
They like to make the claim that atheism is not concerned with cosmology or origins and is nothing more than a disbelief.
I'm going to grant you this one as well, but I'm going to also explain something. Yes, atheism is not concerned with cosmology at all. Atheists are not required to be rational. So a person could have all the wrong reasons to not believe in a god and still be considered an atheist. He could be a complete retard that knows nothing about cosmology and still be an atheist. He could be somebody who's never heard of God before and still be an atheist. It's not a requirement for atheists to be educated and to actually, sharpen their arguments and skills when it comes to debates or arguments against God's existence.
But this is not true. By denying God, the uncreated creator, atheists are actually forced to and required to accept one of the two following options. Either space and time are eternal, which is STE, or something can come about from pure nothingness and then create entire universes, which is SCPNCEU. Now, it's an absolute 100% concrete, undeniable fact that atheists only have these two options.
Okay, dude, what you did right here is jumped to a conclusion based on a false premise. Because you assert that it's a 100% absolute fact that these are the only two options atheists have. But you're forgetting that there's a much more simple option that atheists still have. An atheist can still be too stupid to understand cosmology or philosophy and have absolutely no interest in either of these fields, and he still doesn't believe in a god, and he's an atheist. So that's a pretty valid option for atheists, don't you think? But, okay, let's just continue.
And just for the record, saying I don't know is not presenting me with a third option. Technically, the atheist can say I don't know if it is A or B, but their problem still is that it is A or B.
I think you're taking a very narrow-minded perspective on this issue, because you're thinking that there's only A or B. What about if there's C, D, E, and F that are just unknown as of now? Modern cosmology is a very young field of study. It's only several hundred years old, with most of the major discoveries at least being discovered in the last century. So Yeah, you're expecting that we'll have all the answers immediately within our grasp right off the bat. And that's, I think, kind of narrow-minded of you. But let's just address the argument itself, because you are presenting me with two options, which I do hold a belief in one of them, and I'm going to address that one.
And don't get mad at me. Don't be mad at me. It's not my fault. It's not my fault that both A and B are irrational, illogical, and there's no evidence for them.
Here's where your logic is becoming extremely messy. Now, you say that atheists have only two options. Either the universe is eternal, which means it had no beginning, obviously, or that it came from absolute nothingness and had a beginning. So, let's first of all start from the beginning. We know only one thing for sure, and that is that the universe exists. Now, I personally don't like the idea that the universe is eternal, because it doesn't really make any sense to me that the universe as it is right now is eternal. Now, I believe that the true answer is a combination of both, but I'm going to get to that at the end of the video. Now, we have two different approaches to trying to explain the universe. You claim that atheists' approach is illogical, unreasonable, and that it has absolutely no evidence for it. Now, on the other hand, you fall back on an unfalsifiable claim that also has absolutely no evidence for it. But unfalsifiable claims are the most irrational and illogical positions to hold ever, because you can never know if you're wrong if you hold an unfalsifiable claim. That means that even if you're wrong, you will never be able to know it. Now, that's so far for you calling our position illogical and irrational. Now, about evidence, do you have any evidence for your claim? I'll be glad to see it, because so far there has been no evidence for an uncreated creator. By the way, you call it an uncreated creator just in order to push God into another gap by calling him an uncreated creator, another unfalsifiable claim. Instead of calling it God, which has strict definitions to what God is, you call it the uncreated creator, because that's a hypothesis that nobody can disprove. Now, I'm going to point out the absurdity in what you're actually saying here. You're saying that these two ideas are complete nonsense. But on the other hand, your idea is no different from either of these two. Okay, take, for example, the idea that says that the universe came from nothing, that it had a beginning. Well, don't you believe that the uncreated creator created the universe when there was nothing before the universe? Now, that's basically the same thing. And about the universe being eternal, that seems ridiculous to you, but an uncreated creator which is eternal, but not only is it eternal like the universe, which all that the universe needs to be eternal is that the laws of physics and conservation of matter and energy to be eternal in some way. You need a thinking entity to be eternal and to not have had any cause to create it. You believe that that is eternal. So what the hell is different between what you believe and what you call absurd? Now, I'm not going to defend the position that the universe is eternal, but I'm rather going to address the second one. You say that both of these are irrational and illogical. Now, I don't want to make an argument from authority here, but just so you know, the greatest minds on this planet are pretty much in consensus that the answer lies somewhere in one of these two options. So, calling it irrational and illogical isn't completely accurate. There are a lot of competing hypotheses that all comply with the laws of nature. Well, we just don't know exactly which one of them is correct, or if there's a different one that's correct that we don't know of yet. So one beautiful hypothesis, which I would dare to say is the leading one right now, is proposed by Stephen Hawking. Now, I'm not saying that this is definitely true, but so far this is the best and most likely explanation. To simplify it, I'm going to use a mathematical analogy. This is actually something that I was thinking about myself when I was a teenager about this exact problem. Now, in math, nothing is represented by 0. Now, you could write 0 as a 0, but you could also write 0 as a plus 4 minus 4. It's still 0. It could be a plus 3x squared minus 3x squared. It's still 0. Now, you are asking basically, how could you have 3x squared from nothing? Well, you're not thinking about the whole picture here. You're just looking at a single part of it. So, if you combine the entire equation together, it equals to nothing. The same is true about the universe. The universe can be nothing as long as if there is something, then there is its opposite. There's an anti-something. So, what do we have in the universe which you would call a something? Well, we have energy. So, this energy is obviously a something. So, where do we find a counter to this energy that would balance it out to make it equal 0? Well, one idea is dark matter. Basically, according to this hypothesis, the entirety of the universe is as close to 0, as close to nothing as possible. But one of the premises of this theory is that basically the universe started as from a singularity. That is actually a fact, but this singularity, where did it come from? Well, in quantum mechanics, particles can pop in and out of existence all the freaking time. They do pop in and out of existence all the freaking time. Now, these particles are as close to 0 energy as the laws of nature allow. So, think for a moment that one of these particles spontaneously expanded. Now, this expansion requires a lot of energy, but as long as you have the counter to that energy, it's still allowed. So, what exactly is the problem here? Universes can come from nothing very easily. In fact, every single particle that pops in and out of existence might create a universe. We never know. We don't know enough about quantum mechanics to actually solve this problem right now, but I'm pretty sure we will know in the future, or at least I hope we do before our species annihilates itself. So that's as far as for the argument for the universe coming from nothing.
No matter how hard the atheists may try to come up with a third option, undoubtedly, whatever they come up with will fall under these two categories that I provided.
Again, not necessarily. We don't know enough about the universe to actually determine if these are the only two options. Our understanding is limited, and our species is retarded. We are still an inch away from baboons.
This goes for multi-universe theory, space and time in a vacuum, Big Bang theory, a pinpoint of energy, singularity, an unknown law that exists outside of time, or anything else you can potentially dream up.
Dude, I think you're kind of projecting here, because these theories did not come from dreaming them up. They came from observation and research, looking into all the facts known today and possibly thinking up of other facts that might still be unknown to us, trying to look for the best and most probable explanation for all of this. This is as far from imagining it as possible. On the other hand, the uncreated creator hypothesis, the one that says that there is an entity that is lacking in nothing, yet for some reason it felt that it's necessary for it to create. Why exactly? Why did God create? How did God create? Who exactly is dreaming up things here?
So, atheists, you have to ask yourself, what kind of atheist are you? Are you an STE or are you an SCP NCEU type of atheist? If you're not sure which one you are yet, at least you can be honest enough to admit these are, in fact, your only two options.
You're getting it all wrong here. These are not two different types of atheists. These are two different types of cosmologists. Atheists are the ones who say we don't believe in God. Atheists can adopt any type of cosmology they see fit, as long as it doesn't have a God creating things.
Or, if you disagree, present me with a third option, please. And then, after you admit that, be honest enough to admit both of your options are irrational, illogical, and have zero evidence. Then maybe, just maybe, after we do that, we can have an honest, logical discussion. I'm out. Chad Elliott, the AK. You know me, baby, the Atheist Killer. Check me out. Check out my Facebook page. I hope you like my channel. I'll see you soon. I'm out. Peace.
Let me try to rephrase your argument without changing your argument to show you how dumb it sounds when I listen to it. You know that your beliefs are utter bullcrap. You have to admit this, because otherwise you're being dishonest. It's basically like saying, you know you believe in God, you just don't want to admit it. Saying, be honest and admit that these beliefs don't make any sense. Well, obviously to me they make sense, otherwise I wouldn't believe in them. Your God doesn't make any sense to me, that's why I don't believe in it. It's that simple. So, I said earlier in the video that my belief about cosmology is a combination of a universe coming from nothing and an eternal universe. Now, the way that I think that an eternal universe comes into play is I think that there's at least one thing that's eternal, and that is the phenomenon in which particles can pop in and out of existence all the time. We still don't have the explanation for that, but that is what's eternal. That is a basic law for reality, that these little particles can pop in and out of existence all the time in any point in space and in any point in nothing. Now, if you're as lifeless as to watch this video all the way through to this point, then I have an announcement to make. In the next couple of days or a week or so, I am moving overseas, and that is the reason for my recent absence, and therefore I will not be making as many videos, if at all. I'm hoping that I'll be able to establish an internet connection and be able to restart posting videos and all that shit when, as soon as I get there. Yeah, this video was a pain in the ass to make. See you guys.